Hey y'all, this is Timeka, the face behind Hey HR. I know that there's one question that's always being asked in interviews, and we get so confused on how to answer it. Even if we're not confused, we answer it and think that we killed it and we really bombed it. And that question is, tell me about yourself. So if you want to know the best ways to answer that question in interviews on Tell Me About Yourself, then definitely keep watching. All right, y'all. So the first thing I want you to know before I even tell you how to answer this question is that question doesn't literally mean tell me about yourself. So that doesn't mean I want to hear about your spouse. That doesn't mean I want to hear about your dog. That doesn't mean that I want to know your favorite plant that you like watering. That doesn't mean that I want to hear that your children are just graduating. Like, interviews are short. They're quick. You're in competition. Stop thinking this is a conversation of let me get to know you. It's not. You don't have the job offer. So you're really in competition with other people at this point right now. Don't sit down and give your biography. What you really, really want to do is talk about your high points in your career, your successes. Please, please don't just talk about yourself. Most time when we talk about ourselves, we're giving away information that the employer doesn't need to know. And unfortunately, very new managers or very managers who just don't know any better, they'll use that information against you when they really should only be looking at your skills. So keep it focused on your skills, because now you're kind of introducing them to be discriminatory in your interview, and you don't want to do that. So please don't go through and just talk about yourself, because that's not really what that question means. Now, the next thing that question does not mean is it does not mean for you to just read your resume. Please don't go back and say, oh, I just told them what's on my resume. No, you shouldn't. What you should be doing is having a well-written resume that shows a transformation in your skills over time in each role. And it should highlight your best career successes. Please don't just take the job description and copy and paste and put it in your resume. We pass those days now, guys. We want to hear how you've been amazing and not just what that job entailed. Every day I did this, I processed this, I positioned this, I assisted this, I started this. Like, get away from that, guys. Let's talk about a transformation where you launched this program to improve XYZ and how you saw those results. Where you talk about doing trainings with managers on a regular basis after doing analysis of seeing their skill gaps. Like, let's talk about some details of things that you really, really did that's amazing. And what you can do is use that and hit on those quick pain points. Talk about your best successes. You're not going to go over that resume. Even if that resume is amazing and showing all your transformations, you're going to hit the high points of what you did that's super duper amazing that relates to this position that you're interviewing for. But please, by all means, do not just read your resume. Now, what this question really does mean is that it wants you to talk about how you're amazing. It's really like a feeler question where people want to feel your personality. They want to feel your skill set. They want to feel your confidence. It's really like an entry-level question. It really is a question that you can use to guide the interview. If you hit this question right, honestly, you can set it up for success. You really can set the interview up for success with questions that not only you're prepared for, but make it conversational, where you take them away from the questions that they prepared. You want to give career highlights. You want to talk about the amazing things you did, and you also want to include the ones that's not listed on your resume. So I always tell you guys to talk about the PAR method, right? Talk about your problem, your action, or your result. Sometimes what I do is I talk about something that stood out in my career. So for years, people would ask me, what was my challenge in my HR career? Well, early on in my career, I didn't have very many challenges because I was an HR assistant. I was an HR specialist. I didn't have a ton of HR experience to have challenges. I had a director that was literally like guarding me from those challenges. So I constantly talked about when I worked in a hospital as a nursing assistant and had a patient that asked me for permission to go home. He was a cancer patient and he wanted to go home. He'd live about 4 hours away. And it was a requirement by the hospital that you needed to live within a 30-minute radius. And I told him, I said, one, I don't have the authority to give you that, but here are the people you can go to for that answer. And I highly suggest you just not do it. He was like, okay. Well, he went home. And when he came back, he told them that I gave him permission. And I was so upset with him. I didn't talk to him for a while. And I really kind of avoided being the nursing assistant for him. But 2 days later, he died. And so that was a big challenge for me. And so now that I've set it up and tell people about this story, maybe I might end it by saying from that day on, I've made it my business to always be transparent with people, to bring others in the loop. Or when somebody asks me something alarming, you can talk about experience that really hits you hard, that really kind of hits you. That one still hits me. I'm fighting back tears now. That one hit me. That was a good little friend of mine. But that was something I'll never forget. And it's okay for you to talk about the same thing. When someone asks you to tell you about yourself, you know, when they ask you to tell you about yourself and you're giving career highlights, that's what you can do, is talk about some of these highlights of big things that happened and how you learn from them. Now, the other thing that this means is that they really want you to give a brief overview of like what you want to share. So I don't mind sharing that I'm a single parent of an adult child and I have my dog. Do I want to share that I feel like I'm stretched thin helping my mother who's aging, that I feel like I lose my mind when my nephew's coming with so much energy at the end of the day? No, like there's some things I'm not going to share. So those are my go-tos that I'm solid sharing with anybody. Find some go-tos that you're solid sharing on a personal level and then dive into your professional highlights. Now, one thing that I will tell you for this question, when people ask you to tell me about yourself, I tell my clients this all the time. I explain it to them all the time. I explained it in one of my ebooks, and I'm going to briefly explain it here, but we ain't doing a deep dive, sis. If you want a deep dive, get career mentoring, and I'll help you with this question or with this method. And so when people ask me to tell me about myself, I always go for a quick elevator pitch. I go for a quick elevator pitch where I give them quick highlights of my career and I end it with the mic drop. And it works every time. Every time I get to that mic drop, my mic drop is always comical. It always makes folks go, man, I don't even need to ask these questions anymore. Tell me about such and such. Tell me about such and such. I overload them with so much information. So what you want to do is think about it as, you know, I'm in the elevator with someone amazing, only from the second floor to the third floor. So I ain't got long to tell them about myself. Completely do a quick elevator pitch. What I will tell you is that I don't lean on one elevator pitch. I use multiple. And I do a lot of preparation before time. And I really do some other things to make sure that before I get in that interview, I knew what tactic to take on this elevator pitch. So if you want to know more about that, definitely get the career mentoring, because child, I help you get that elevator pitch right. But if you're like Timeka, I'm really at that price point for career mentoring and I don't really need that whole thing with career mentoring. Absolutely fine. I have the Level Up Your Career ebook. And I go through a deep dive in there on how to create your elevator pitch. So I'll put the link down to that ebook below so that you can grab it. Now, there are tons of other interview questions, and I have a video that's coming up that's going to tell you the worst questions that we hate and how to answer them, because they ask in every interview. So you definitely want to subscribe and hit the alert so that you'll know when that video comes out. But if you're like, Timeka, you got something else I can do because I don't have time to be on YouTube all day, then cool. I have a freebie that you can use that has the interview questions and the answers. Now, it is on the homepage of my website, but I'll put the link down below so you can grab it as well. Because I promise you, I go through a deep dive of what the question says, what the answer is looking for, and how you can answer that question. So if you made it this far and you're brand new, again, I'm Timeka. I'm the face behind Heyyy HR. But if you're still here, that means you should be subscribing because you made it a long way. So I hope that I gave you so much value in this video that you're like, you know what, girl, you're right. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe. Now, if you're returning, I really want to know how I did on this one, because I found some fun in these interview question techniques. Even though I told y'all I'm gonna get away from these interviews, this one was good. We hit this from a different angle. So please do me a favor. And if you're like, yeah, you hitting on some things, leave me some purple hearts down below. I thank you all so much for watching another Heyyy HR video, and I cannot wait to see y'all on the next video.